We are officially live here in the REI Freedom World Facebook group, off market Facebook group, and going national tonight. We have the Powerhouse Masterclass for you guys tonight. I'm so excited. This is our biggest, baddest masterclass tonight. We have collaborated with some great professionals that you are going to learn amazing things from tonight, from different parts of the country, coming to bring all of you tons of value. So I'm really excited. We have over 80 people registered for tonight's event. So I'm really excited, not to mention all the people that are going to be watching this live and all the different Facebook pages and groups around the country. This is awesome stuff. I am Jeremy Beland. I am the owner of REI Freedom Facebook, REI Freedom Group. We are a real estate investing coaching group. And I run New Hampshire home buyers and coastal Florida home buyers. I own house buying companies. As you can tell, I've had a lot of caffeine. My brain is working a lot faster than my mouth right now because the caffeine hasn't really hit my mouth yet, but it's working in my brain. But let's get started for tonight. We have a lot to get through, and I'm really, really excited to share everything we got going on tonight. Let me give you guys a rundown of who we have here tonight. We have Laekynn Goldrup, who is, she lives in Texas. She has a degree in communication, specializes in target marketing. She's been in marketing and branding space for the last 10 years. Tonight, she will be speaking on the power of your personal brand. And if you guys don't think brand is important in this world, you're wrong. And she's going to bring you guys a lot of insights to take your branding to the next level. So I'm super excited about that. Then we are going to get in with Ryan Kramer. Ryan Kramer has been with Legal Shield for 2 years. His favorite part of working with Legal Shield is empowering clients to understand the leverage of their legal rights, helping them navigate challenges with confidence and success. With a passion for technology and efficient processes, Ryan excels at simplifying complex systems to make legal protection accessible and effective for everyone. And if you are owning properties and you're in the real estate investing space, we need to be legally protected. In his free time, I don't know if he has any, but when he does, Ryan enjoys adventuring, playing video games, exploring new technology, traveling, and spending quality time with his family. His advice to his clients is simple yet impactful. Make it a priority to know your rights. Being armed with that knowledge can be the difference between success and defeat in your business. Love that. After that, we are going to get into all kinds of tax stuff with an investment and tax coach, Larry Pendleton, out of Philadelphia, rocking the PA today. He's building passive income and saving taxes in a team sport, making sure you have the right coach. This is why it's his mission to help fellow investors achieve financial abundance by increasing their passive income secured by real estate and reducing their taxes with effective tax strategies. Yes, let's pay less to Uncle Sam so we can keep more of it. Thank you, Larry. He has been a CPA and tax strategist for around 2 decades with a focus on tax strategies for investors. His company, PC Financial Services, has helped thousands, that's right, thousands of investors across the U.S. with tax planning, save them thousands of dollars in taxes, along with tax consulting. He has value and cost segregation studies, accredited investor validation, and tax preparation. He's also a real estate investor for over a decade, has been an active participant in various ventures across the U.S. consisting of mortgage notes, multi and single family rentals, syndication, corporate housing, short-term rentals, new development, and flips. Basically, he's doing it all. Besides his current portfolio of notes, rentals, and new construction, his focus now is educating investors how they can achieve greatest returns than their bank on retirement accounts secured by real estate by being private lenders. Love that. He serves various boards of nonprofits that promote the development of youth in his community. He also serves as the planning commission for the city of Norfolk, Virginia. Most importantly, he is married to an extraordinary wife named Whitney and the proud father of 2 sons, Larry III and Wesley. Awesome, awesome. And then we get to another Kramer in the house, Cassie Kramer. Let me pull up Cassie here. Cassie Kramer has been with Ascend Bookkeeping since the inception of September 2019, with a passion for helping clients achieve their business goals. She specializes in analyzing a business's current financial state and crafting effective, repeatable processes that drive results. In her free time, Cassie enjoys reading, cooking, playing the piano, and embarking on ventures with her family. Her advice to clients: know that you aren't alone. Finances can be difficult to discuss, and it's natural to feel self-conscious. We're here not to judge, but to help you achieve your goals. And then lastly, I'm Jeremy Beland. I'm hosting this dang thing. I'm going to go on at the end. If I have energy left, I will provide it to you guys. I am going to be doing a presentation on our top sales techniques to get off-market deals, but for, more deals, bigger deals with less cancellations when it comes to off-market deals. I started my real estate investing journey back in 2017, basically from $11,000 investment from selling my condo, moving my family into a little apartment. We took $11,000, invested into a coaching program, started some direct mail, and we were off and running in our wholesaling journey. That wholesaling journey has ventured off into flipping, wholesaling, buy and hold, and coaching since then. I have built multiple million-dollar markets in different parts of the country. We have gone on to do over 450 off-market acquisitions and have generated more than $10 million in gross profit since we started in 2017. So you have a lot of people with a lot of experience bringing you guys a ton of knowledge tonight. So thank you very much for being here tonight. And thank you for everybody, as far as our presenters tonight, for being here tonight. So thank you very much. All right, well, that's enough of me. I'm sure you guys are exhausted of hearing my loud voice. We are going to get started right away. Let's get started with branding, and we're going to get right into it with Laekynn. Laekynn, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yes, my name is Laekynn. It rhymes with bacon. So hopefully that helps you remember. I am so excited to be with you. Like Jeremy said, I'm from Texas. I've been doing communications, marketing, branding for over 10 years, and it is so fun. It is so fun, and I'm so excited to share just some tips with you and help you learn how to harness the power of your personal brand. I'm excited to throw a little curveball here. I have actually a guest with me tonight. This is my husband, Travis. We're going to hear from him in a minute. But I want to start by sharing a little bit. Let's lay some foundation. What is a brand? I know we're taking it like really to the bottom, but we got to have a good foundation so we can build on that. So there's a lot that goes into a brand and a personal brand. We're not going to get into the weeds with that too much, but I want to give you just some thoughts that a personal brand helps you stand out amongst others. And in any business, in your business, you need to stand out. You want to build a trust with those that you communicate. You want them to feel like they know you, that you're a friend with them right out of the bat. And that is something that a brand can truly help you with. Now, when it comes to a brand, I like to think of it kind of like your toolbox. You're in homes, you're flipping homes. Think of your toolbox. What do you have in there? Well, we're going to call that our brand kit. And so these are the things that you should have in your brand kit. If you don't, that's okay. That's why we're getting to know each other and chatting here. I'd love to chat with you about it. But some top things to think about is, one, your business. And do you have a business name? That is so important. It's important, and we'll get into like the legal side of that and the tax side of that. But just on a personal brand side and building your business, you want to have a name that people know you by and that they can refer you and associate your business with. You also want to have a logo. You want to have a symbol that you can put in different places that people can immediately recognize that and think of you. With that comes colors. You want to have a color scheme that flows with what you're trying to share with your audience, the feelings and emotions you're trying to connect with. That comes a lot from the colors that you use. And then your fonts. Sometimes we forget about fonts, but having consistent fonts throughout all of the work that you create online, in email marketing, on the web, those are going to be valuable for you. So those are kind of my toolbox things. There's so much more that can go into a brand and your personal voice of that. And like I kind of mentioned, those feelings and emotions that you have and that you're trying to create when people see your brand. But if we're going with basics, those are kind of the basic things I want you to think about. And if you have those. Now, I want to talk a little bit about your brand. That is it for me. It really acts as your first billboard. You probably aren't buying a giant billboard right out of the gate, but that is what your brand is. It's that first impression, and we want it to be the best impression. Now, I mentioned that we're going to talk about the power of your personal brand, and I really want to focus this in on two powers. So the first power is about your consumers, those that see your brand. I'm sure I could chat with you tonight and we could go back and forth and share about different brands, and you could just think of them exactly when I say one word, right? So if I say Golden Arches, you probably think of McDonald's. Maybe that's just me. I had it this afternoon. Maybe I talk about a swoosh, and hopefully your mind goes to Nike, right? As consumers, we see different things and it triggers us to think of that. And then it triggers us to act. And so having your brand, having that cohesive look allows your consumers to recognize you, and like I mentioned before, know, like, and trust you, and build that relationship. Those are your building blocks as you're working with them. Now, it's so powerful for your consumers, and you want to have that good first impression. But I want to share with you a second power that you may not think about, and that is the power it gives you. The power your brand gives you as a business owner. One, it gives you a lot of confidence because you can confidently present yourself and know that you are putting your best foot forward and that you have invested in this more than just a little side gig. Maybe that's what it is now. Maybe it's what it was before, but you are putting your best foot forward and you have your brand. But my favorite thing is that it saves you so much time and money. Because time is money. And when you are trying to create content, when you're putting out graphics, you're creating an email, if you're having to spend a lot of time and energy on what that looks like, that's just a waste of time. You need to be doing and spending time in your business that's really making you money. So when you have your brand set up, you have these fonts that you use that are consistent, you have these colors that match what you're trying to convey, then it's saving you so much time. You don't have to think about, oh, what looks good. You've got it all laid out for you. I'm excited to see the Kramers, and especially Cassie's slides. I've worked with Cassie on her branding, and I didn't make her slides for her, but she had her kit, she had her toolbox, and she reached out to me and she said, Laekynn, this made it so much easier for me to put together because I didn't have to think about what, some of those design elements. And I can guarantee that maybe that's not her, specific zone of genius, she would say. And so having that made her life so much easier. And so for you in your business, having those tools in your toolbox will make your life so much easier. Now, your personal brand is not just how it looks, but it also has to do with your online presence. And so I brought my husband, Travis, here because we own our own business, our own marketing business called Golden Growth. And we help hundreds and hundreds of businesses with their brand, but also with their online presence. And so I want him to be able to share with you a little bit about how you can take your brand and then translate that online and streamline that.
Yes, I don't usually make the marketing emails. Laekynn's face usually brings people in a little easier than I do, and then they sneak me in. And so thanks for letting me take some time. But yes, we love the idea of chatting with businesses. Not every business needs to market online the same way. And what we found is that a lot of businesses feel like they need to be pumping out social media content, whether that's reels on Instagram or trying to grow in TikTok. And what they do is they end up spending a lot of time in areas that actually don't generate leads very well. And so one area that we really focus with businesses is to make sure that you have a good Google presence. If you don't have a website right now, I would do that in 2025. Now, when you think website, you may be thinking something really, really robust and way too time consuming and probably super, super expensive. But what we do with businesses is we look to set up usually just a one-page lead generation. And the reason why we do this is because your ideal client is already on Google, right? If you're looking to buy properties, you want to have pre-qualified people. And I'll share an example. My great-grandmother, bless her heart, passed away like great-grandmothers do. And she left her house to my mom. And my mom, was not in a place to rehab this house or get it prepared to be a landlord situation or anything like that. And so she wanted to sell her house. And so she was, she talked about how do I even go about this, right? And so she went to Google, because that's where you go to find answers. And she searched sell my house quick near me. And I don't think probably very many of you are in Maine. Jeremy's close. But she's in Maine, and I don't know whatever happened with that, but my recommendation for everybody is to make sure you're in that Google search result. And so the way you do that is just by having a landing page there. And what you put on that landing page really triggers Google to pump you up there. And so it can feel daunting to set up a website. There are a lot of tools online, free platforms you can use to create a really robust, engaging landing page type website. I like YouTube. YouTube's a wonderful, powerful resource. So there's a lot of answers there. But it can also be challenging to make sure you're ranking. It's one thing to make a website, but then to make sure your keywords are up to date, your search engine optimization's up to date, that can be a little tricky. It's not impossible on your own, but that's what we do for businesses. We help you make sure that you're on that first page so that wherever you are, we're in Houston, right? If I have a home, I'm searching sell my house, Houston, right? You can land on first page of Google. And the great thing is you don't have to spend a lot of money on ads either, because psychologically now there's some great research that people don't even look at like the first 3 or so results anymore. And that's where your ads are going to get you, is those first 3 results usually. And so people go to Google and they immediately will scroll right past them. So our goal is to get you like 5, 6, 7 on that first page. And that triggers a ton of people driving to your website, getting you qualified leads. In 2025, it's going to be really important to have these qualified leads, because even when you look to gather, a lot of people will buy, right, batches of leads. And there's some regulations that will make reaching out to those and doing cold calling to those very difficult. And so it's never been more important to make sure you're getting people to your site, you're getting those qualified leads, right? And it's just as simple as having a good landing page. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. Make sure you have a contact form in there. You're going to go close that deal. And so that's something that Laekynn and I do a lot of with businesses, is just set up something simple, right? Get your leads to you, then you can run with it. And it usually is only a few $100 to get started. So if that's something in your space, don't think that you need to be spending, $10,000 to get this thing robust and get good leads. It's not that much. And you can have that power too. So those are my thoughts there. I'll pass it back to.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's what I love, is like the power of branding, and then, utilizing the online presence. It just is incredible. Because like I mentioned before, that is your billboard. That is your first impression. They click on it. Do they think they want to work with you? And then from there, you can see, you can use your superpowers. You can use your personal charisma and knowledge to then go from there with your deals. And so I'll drop my information here. I know that there will be an email sent out too, but if you have questions, you want to chat with working with us, or you just have questions about, here's where I'm at, what do you think I need? Where should I start? Everybody's business and goals are different. And so I love chatting one-on-one so that we can provide you with more specific answers and help. So that's what we have tonight. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was a ton of great value. And as a real estate investing company that spends a lot of time and energy on branding ourselves, and we love SEO, it's been a huge component of our success over the years. It is our favorite marketing channel out of all of them. And I can tell you right now, we are taking a massive approach, as my assistants on this meeting will tell you. Going into 2025 with the new regulations, we are going to be doubling down on branding and SEO going into 2025. So I appreciate you guys bringing that up. Great stuff. All right, awesome. All right, so we're going to keep moving along. Thank you, Laekynn. And we're going to move on to Ryan Kramer.
Awesome, sounds great. So Ryan Kramer, I'm a independent associate of Legal Shield here. I'm also out of Texas. We're originally from Utah, and originally before that, we're from the Pacific Northwest. Grew up in the Portland, Oregon area, and kind of migrated from there south a little bit to the Rockies, and then further to the southern area, which we're still getting used to. So, yep, I'm out of Houston, Texas here as well. Today I'm going to kind of cover a few things. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. I do have slides. So here we go. So I'm going to cover a few things with you guys. Basically, how many attorneys do you need in your back pocket when it comes to real estate investing, and where are you in your portfolio vulnerable? I'm excited to hop into this space because I know every single one of you that's on here and who's watching live has been in this situation before, where in your investing journey, you might have run into some legal issues, run into some problems there, but you just didn't necessarily know how to handle things in the given situation. So that being said, let's go ahead and dive in here. I'm going to start out with a little bit of a game. I'm going to get some engagement with you guys. I know we have several people on here now, so we're going to go ahead and ask for answers in the chat. People that are live, you can just kind of keep your answers to yourself because I can't see that chat. But I want to play a little game. And over the next few slides, I'm going to put a number up on the screen, and I want you to think about what that number may be referencing. And then after a short amount of time, I'll give you that answer. So the number 11. What do we think the number 11 could stand for? And you can go ahead and just pop your ideas in chat, and I'll kind of cover those and then give you guys the answer here shortly. Don't be shy. Chat's a good thing. You co-hosts can also pop in your answers.
I think Drew Bledsoe.
You think what?
Drew Bledsoe.
Drew Bledsoe. Awesome. Okay, so that is the number of recommended amount of specialized attorneys that we at Legal Shield like to say you need as a real estate investor, and that you have at your disposal, should have at your disposal at any given time.
Wow.
Yep. The next number is 313. So feel free to put your answers in there, or just think to yourself what that could potentially be. So that one, and I actually did a little research on this when we were role playing earlier. Yeah, there you go. The attorney's hourly rate, Michael. Perfect. Yes. That is on average that's dead on there, Michael. On average across the United States, and I actually did some more research because I thought this might be incorrect. I thought it might be closer to 400 now. But over the last few years, statistics are showing across the whole US, this is about the average hourly rate for an attorney in the United States. So yes, very good. A couple more to go. 15,000. Now that's a lot of money. So this one,
your average attorney bill for every claim that you have to do.
close, and budget is also kind of close. This is actually the average cost for one litigation that you might run into, one issue coming up, and this is literally just the representation, not your settlements, not any agreement for judgments, anything, literally just those legal fees that you'd have to cover. And the last one, 60%. So obviously a pretty round number, could be anything. This is roughly the percentage of investors, just like all of us, who rely on attorney Google and attorney Facebook community for the legal advice. 60% of investors out there don't actually have legal advice. Anybody on retainer, anybody they can reach out to, they're relying on people that are educating themselves via YouTube University, things like that. So now that we've covered some fun facts there, what I want to do is just kind of dive into some real life situations that we've seen come up with real estate investors over the last few years here. With each, I'm going to basically talk about how there's two potential outcomes that could come to place. First outcome is what could happen with those legal resources in your back pocket. And then the second potential outcome is, the first one is without legal representation. And the second outcome is an alter ego is what I'm going to call it. And that's how things could turn out if you have legal counsel available to you. So while we're going through these, just go ahead and think about how these situations, what you've experienced before, where you might have seen these situations before. So this is Chad, and Chad found a lease template online that fit his budget perfectly. We all know what that means. After reading through the lease template, he liked it, liked the terms, decided it was great to use, went ahead and used it with his newest tenant. Unfortunately, what Chad didn't realize when he was using it, or that when he was reviewing it, is that several parts of that lease weren't legally enforceable in his particular state, where his property was, where his renter was. He discovered the issue after the tenant violated the lease terms and refused to cooperate. When Chad finally approached an attorney for help, there wasn't much the attorney could do because the leases, it wasn't enforceable. So that left Chad with legal recourse, costing him time, money, and peace of mind. This is Chad's alter ego now. So this Chad also found that same lease template online, but before using it, he decided to have an attorney review the document up front. The attorney quickly flagged several cases that weren't legally enforceable in his state and explained why they could cause problems down the road. The attorney then customized that lease for him to comply with his local landlord-tenant laws while still protecting Chad's rights as a landlord. Armed with a legally sound lease, Chad felt confident moving forward with his newest tenant. When an issue later arose, as before, with the tenant violating the lease, same situation, different alter person, Chad was actually able to address the situation quickly and efficiently with his attorney's support, and he was able to enforce those terms of the lease and resolve the situation before it escalated. So thanks to legal guidance, he was able to avoid a costly mistake. He was able to ensure his rental agreements were solid for future tenants and save that time, money, and peace of mind. That's the first example. Second example is Andrea. Andrea was renovating a property, and a lot of you probably run into this. I've seen some pretty big examples of this where you have a general contractor that's renovating your property with you, and they randomly stop working, stop returning calls, and just ghost you. Problem is, they've already paid that deposit. And a lot of the time what happens is you're not under any sort of agreement. It was a handshake agreement. And other than a few texts and conversations, there's no proof that you engaged. So Andrea tried to research how to take this general contractor to court, but she kept getting conflicting information online, and her social media groups weren't much help either. Just desperate to continue the project, Andrea decided just to let the money go and hired another GC on a handshake to complete the job. So again, another handshake. This is Andrea's alter ego. Same situation. She was in the middle of renovating a property with her GC. Suddenly, the GC stopped responding to calls, stopped returning texts and messages. Feeling frustrated and unsure what to do, Andrea reached out to her business attorney this time. Her business attorney walked her through their options. The attorney explained that without a proper contract, her legal recourse might be limited but still possible. They drafted a demand letter immediately, sent that to the GC requesting return of her deposit and outlining the potential legal consequences of not complying. That action alone actually put enough pressure on that contractor to get them to respond and return at least part of that deposit. Now, at the same conversation, she was able to gain guidance from her attorney on how to avoid similar issues in the future. They provided her with a customizable contractor agreement, a template she could use over and over to work with contractors when ensure her next hire would be legally bound to complete the work as promised. Armed with this knowledge, she was able to hire another GC under a formal agreement and successfully complete the renovation without further complications. So again, having access to experienced legal counsel in these kinds of situations will save you money, avoid necessary stress, and help you gain that confidence that for future projects as they come up. So one more, stick with me, or actually two more, sorry.
You're good.
This one is Ricky, and Ricky had recently completed a renovation of one of his rental properties and was ready to market it for tenants. Shortly after showing the unit to a prospective renter, he received an email threatening legal action. The renter claimed they tripped on an uneven step at the property during the showing and were considering suing him for medical and damages. Panicked, Ricky reached out to his real estate Facebook groups for advice, but the responses were all over the place. Some said settle, some said ignore it, and a few recommended hiring a lawyer immediately. Without a clear path forward, Ricky decided, okay, you know what? I'm just going to ignore this email, hope it'll go away, and move on. A month later, he actually was served with a formal lawsuit. Now he's stuck paying legal fees and scrambling to defend himself, wishing he had acted sooner. Not a fun situation. So his alter ego here, after the renter claimed they tripped on an uneven step and threatened to sue, Ricky, this alter version of Ricky, immediately contacted his attorney. The attorney reviewed the renter's complaint, advised Ricky to document the property conditions thoroughly, and helped him draft a response to address the allegations. The attorney also advised Ricky on best practices to handle such claims in the future, like taking detailed photos after renovations, keeping records of the property conditions, things like that. With their help, Ricky was able to resolve the issue before it escalated to a lawsuit. And that obviously saved time, money, and stress, which are the big things we're obviously talking about here is the time, money, and stress. Those are invaluable. Last one, stay with me. Finally, we have Barb. This one's fun. She was thrilled to purchase her latest acquisition, a multifamily property. Seemed perfect for her growing portfolio. After closing, she received a notice from the city claiming the property was subject to unpaid back taxes from the previous owner. Barb had no idea this was even possible and felt overwhelmed trying to figure out how, if she was, and how she could be responsible for that debt. She spent hours Googling for answers. She reached out to people for advice. She could only find things that just confused her more. Some sources said she might be liable. Others suggested she could challenge the claim. Unsure what to do, Barb ended up paying for the tax bill and just taking it, and it cost her thousands of unplanned expense. So you can kind of get the trend here now. Alter ego, she received that notice of unpaid back taxes on her new multifamily property, but instead she immediately called her attorney team. The attorney explained that Barb could challenge the claim because the back taxes were tied to the previous owner and it had not been disclosed during the sale. They guided Barb on how to send a formal notice to the title company. They guided her on and explaining that taxes should be flagged during the search. So they basically guided her through the process, gave her that tool. The attorney also helped Barb understand her rights in this situation and included recourse against the seller for failing to disclose the debt. With the support, Barb successfully resolved the issue without paying those back taxes. She also gained confidence in navigating future purchases with proper diligence and legal protection. So again, it's all about having that extra tool in your shed there. So those situations being talked about, we talked about Chad, Andrea, Ricky, and Barb, 4 stories that hit close to home for a lot of people, I'm sure. A lot of investors have experienced this. A lot of investors have worked through this, made or break people. Couple things to think about. What would you do in these situations? Do you know what your rights are currently when you're working in your properties and when you're working with tenants and dealing with things? Do you have the resources to fix the problem without draining your bank account? Because, you know, we know money fixes everything, but who wants to spend their money on it? Would you feel stuck, frustrated, and forced to take a loss? And the truth is, these situations aren't rare. The legal challenges they faced, they're pretty common. We see it quite often. The poorly written contracts, the unenforceable leases, missing protections, things like that, they can happen to any of us. And the kicker is that these aren't expensive because of the people involved. They're expensive because the people involved didn't have the access to the right tools and expertise when it mattered the most. So just to ask a few more questions here, how much money could Chad have saved with a strong legally enforceable lease? What kind of peace of mind would Andrea have had with clear legal contract for her GC? And then how much stress could Ricky or Barb have avoided with proactive legal guidance, proactive being key? And that's ultimately where Legal Shield comes in and what we do and why we do what we do as a company. Legal Shield, I'll just go over real quickly what it offers. These aren't just features, they're tools that you can have in your toolbox to help you avoid becoming the next Chad, Andrea, Ricky, or Barb. Unlimited legal consultations for personnel or business needs. Personal or business needs. So situation comes up, you literally go to your app, click a button, lawyer calls you within, I think it's 8 business hours, and 8 business hours, and goes over with your needs with you. Attorney reviewed contracts and agreements before you sign, very important. Drafting of key documents like leases and demand letters, collections, things like that. Legal guidance for property disputes, tax law, and beyond. And then for your benefits that are the real benefits, your peace of mind, your confidence in your business practices, time-saving solutions, financial protection, proactive risk management, and freedom to scale your business. All big things that all of us entrepreneurs really want. So ultimately, Legal Shield isn't just a service, it's a shift in how you approach your business. It's about moving from reactive to proactive. It's from feeling vulnerable to feeling in control. It's about making legal protection the cornerstone of your success so you can focus on what truly matters, building wealth, seizing opportunities, creating the life you work so hard to achieve. So what's next? I have these cool codes here. Go ahead and take your phone out, scan these QR codes. You can get a free consultation on my calendar right away to go over where you are, what you need, what kind of legal situations you have available, and discuss basically your resources that are available to you through your business, as well as the second QR code there takes you to the overview page for our company there and our real estate overview page about how this is designed and tailored to a lot of real estate investors. So other than that, thank you for your attention and go ahead and get scheduled now. Other than that, thanks for connecting, and I'll go ahead and pass it on to the next presenter.
Awesome. Ryan, great presentation. I know Jeremy's alter ego is got that QR code dialed up and he's ready to get a call going with you tomorrow. Listen, for everybody listening, if you have questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat that are here logged into the Zoom. People that are watching on Facebook Lives and the different platforms, please ask questions in those groups and those platforms as well. We're going to try to answer as many questions as we can throughout the night. If we don't get to all of them, we will make sure we get to your questions after this. We will not let any question go unanswered. So please, we want you to ask questions. Ryan, I do have a question for you though with the Legal Shield. Is that something that is applicable in all 50 states? Does it matter which state you're in? Can you work with investors in all 50 states?
So Ryan is currently dealing with some screaming kids, but I'll step in and answer that for him. I texted
Real
him
life
and said, hey,
stuff.
can you go? Sorry, guys. It is what it is. Our kids are mildly feral. That's the way we've got it. So yes, it's all 50 states. So there are hubs of attorneys in each of the 50 states. So for example, Texas, our attorney hubs are in Dallas, in Utah, Salt Lake, that sort of thing. That way they are state specific and they know specifically for your state what is and is not legal.
Awesome. I love that. And from my experience being in the real estate world, and and I'm sure some of the other people have been around, a lot of people play fast and loose with contracts and different things. And they're just one trip on their property, one not LLC being made, one bad contract away from really risking a lot of what they've worked really hard to do. Having a good legal team as part of your team is essential in this industry, and it's definitely not something to be overlooked, and it's something you should seriously invest in if you're looking at making this a lifestyle business for yourself. Laekynn, with you guys do branding in all businesses, but you are specialized as well with real estate, the real estate world, right? The people that are in the real estate community, and you can work with anybody in all 50 states as well too.
Yes. Yep. And we also work outside of the US. So if you have other
okay.
there, yep. We work.
I have to let my friend Spicy Sal up in Canada know about that. He'll be all about that. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Great presentation so far. A lot of great value. Really exciting. We're going to keep moving along. We have now Larry Pendleton going on, and he's going to teach us how to hopefully save a ton of money and not pay Uncle Sam this year.
I appreciate it, Jeremy. I mean, the bar has been set high with the presentation.
Bring it, brother. Bring it.
But we're gonna get a little bit sexy talking about taxes after dark. So how about that?
Yeah.
So let me share my screen. So right off, let me hide my big head here. Bam. So right off the gate, what I really wanted to cover tonight, just 3 strategies real estate professionals can use in 2024 to save at least $20,000 in taxes. You know what? It's Thursday night. It's about to be the weekend. Screw it, $40,000. And y'all can
I like it. Now let's talk.
Y'all can test me. Y'all can test me afterwards. So we're gonna go over 3 strategies that investors can implement before the end of the year or in a year and save this much, because it's not about what you make, it's about what you keep. Brief background about me. As a Larry Pendleton CPA based out of Virginia. Born and raised there, been investing for about a decade now, but been a tax strategist for nearly 2 decades. My partner, Terrion Conyers here, is a Class A contractor. He's also my partner with PC Financials. He's the one that got me motivated to invest in the real estate. And our goal always been is to build cash flow. We always say cash flow is king. I know some people say cash is king, but you're using cash to buy assets to generate cash flow. So the end goal is cash flow when it's all said and done. So, and investing multiple ventures now, getting into some exciting stuff in 2025, and looking to grow further from here. And as Jeremy mentioned, that's my beautiful wife and my knucklehead kids. Luckily, they're asleep now, so but we'll see if I have a Kramer situation later in the presentation. But that's enough about me. As I mentioned before, my mission is to help investors achieve financial freedom by building passive income and saving on taxes. I think a lot of us are with our day jobs or wherever we're doing to make money. That's not really our purpose in life, and the reason why we can't serve our purpose is because we got bills to pay. So we can build that passive income that can replace your main income stream. Then you can live your life of purpose. And of course, you got to find a way to save on taxes and keep Uncle Sam out your pocket and stay in compliance, so you're not worried about if you're going to go to tax jail or anything like that. So that's what we kind of do, merge the two worlds of the exciting investing side and sometimes the dull tax side. But we're going to try to make it exciting today. My model, I'm pretty sure people probably read about Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant. I take the same approach when it comes to how I look at taxes from the tax saving side. Yes, most of the money is made on the right quadrant, but what people don't realize is that most of the tax benefits are on the right side as well. So the right side is making the most money and they're saving the most in taxes. So we can get more people into the investor world and reduce their tax liability in that standpoint. So that's the visual that we all try to get our clients into that bottom right corner as much as possible. And you're going to have a job, you may have your own business, you're going to have a mixture of different things, but we're trying to get you in that investor mindset to build that passive income, and as you see here, reduce your tax liability and do a little shoulder shimmy. This agenda, next 30 minutes, we're going to talk about how to structure your business in a way to help save on taxes, how investing in your future can help you save on taxes, and well as in investing in the now can help you save on taxes as well. And with those three strategies, we will use that to hold myself accountable to that $40,000 in tax savings. Disclaimer, this is all for informational purposes. I am using real life examples, but should not be considered as legal, accounting, or tax or investment advice. Yes, I'm a CPA. I think I'm really good at what I do, but I'm not your CPA. So please consult back with your financial team, your tax advisor, your attorney about anything that we cover tonight to see what does and does not apply to you going forward. So I have an avatar. His name is Jerome, and I like his shirts. He's basically what I think is what a lot of my clients are. A lot of high net worth individuals making a lot of money in their business, and they're looking for just different tax strategies. So he's been having a flipping business for, like I said, since 2016, making really good money from a net income perspective, but been just having huge tax bills. Because he primarily only working with a tax preparer. A lot of my clients, they kept with somebody for so long because the family recommended, or they go to one of these companies in shopping malls and think they're getting tax advice where like someone is just preparing your taxes. Nothing wrong with that, but if you want to have the true tax savings, you have to invest in a tax advisor for that standpoint. So that's what Jerome decided to do. How this presentation is going to flow is that I'm going to address questions that I typically hear a lot from my clients, and they're going to be verbally kind of use Jerome as the guinea pig here, and then I'll explain how we address these questions and and apply the strategy that we use. So first thing we hear a lot is about people hearing about their LLC, helping them save on taxes. But he doesn't see a difference from that standpoint. And the first thing I always tell people is that LLCs do not help you save on taxes. They are a step in that right direction if we want to do the S Corp election, tax election for your business. Um, as as most attorneys can probably tell you, Ryan can probably tell you, well, the real benefit of the LLC is for the asset protection. And I'll let the legal team, I'm not stepping on their shoes, I'll let them handle what they do with that piece of it. And when is the right time to be a LLC and what type of entity structure from that standpoint. But for the actual tax savings piece of it, you want to have a S Corp if you are a flipper, if you are an agent, or you're a wholesaler. That type of income is taxed differently than just your rental income. If you're just a rental or if you're a private lender, like you're not getting hit with FICA taxes. Like with being a flipper, wholesaler, agent, broker, so forth and so forth. Anything that's making ordinary active income, you're getting hit with federal, state, if you live in the state with income tax, and FICA taxes. The S Corp election helps mitigate the FICA taxes. Because instead of that 15.3% being applied to your bottom line, is being applied to just the salary that you pay yourself, which is a requirement of the S Corp. And for those who are not familiar with the FICA is, if you look at your W-2, that's the Social Security and the Medicare piece that's coming out of your paycheck. And in the US, the employers are required to cover half of that, and you as the employee pay the other half out of your paycheck. When you're self-employed, you're making self-employed income, that 15.3 is all on you, which is why small business owners are taxed the worst out of anyone in that cash flow quadrant, because they're getting hit with that additional FICA tax that the employee's not getting fully hit on, and then most business owners and investors aren't seeing or already have mitigated from that standpoint. Now there's a time and a place to make sure you do it correctly, because there are some states that do tax corporations. So just because you have a business, you should not just jump into being an S Corp. You have to file a separate tax return. We talked about payroll. So now you're running quarterly payroll reports. Are you running your own payroll? Are you going with a company to run your payroll? There's a time and pace where it's like, okay, you want to make sure that the tax savings outweigh the costs and the fees associated with being an S Corp and the additional compliance requirements. So I want to make sure you're seeing the good and the bad here, so that you're not just jumping to certain things, because it may not make sense if you're paying more in fees than the actual tax bill itself. I typically tell people, unless your business is netting at least $50,000 a year, that's when the S Corp actually makes sense for you at that point. So let's crunch the numbers. Yes, it is 9 o'clock, close to where I'm at, and we about to do some math. So our example with Jerome, his net income is $270,000. Now that 15.3%, the calculations are a bit quirky. For 2024 only, or well, I guess really for 2023, only $160,000 of it is taxed at the Social Security portion, which is 12.4%, and the whole 270 is taxed at the Medicare rate at 2.9%. So they give us roughly self-employment taxes of $27,000, close to $28,000. Now we're not factoring federal tax, we're not factoring state taxes. That's the minimum tax liability he has is going to be close to $28,000 with just FICA. So that's how you can see how he could jump up to having a $92,000 tax bill if a third of it is already coming from one portion of his tax bill. Now, as an S Corp, and he's paying himself a salary of roughly about $60,000. We determine that based off of calculations and formulas that we use to help determine a reasonable salary for him. Now, that 15.3% is only applied to the $60,000, not to the net, to the 270 net. So now his payroll taxes, total employee and employer, is only $9,100. So that gives him roughly about $18,000 in tax savings just by having his LLC taxed as an S corp, filing that separate S corp tax return, paying himself a reasonable salary, and applying the tax that way. So no additional work on these end besides just having to run the quarterly payroll reports and whether you're doing that yourself or through QuickBooks, that has a great software to help people walk people through that. But there's the opportunity there that you can take back and see when is the right time to apply it for yourself. And if I'm going too fast, like please slow me down. I'm happy to address questions along the way. So next question. He has an IRA. He's been trying to max out his IRA contributions and want to see if there's additional write-offs with his retirement accounts. Now, as an IRA, like anyone can have an IRA. You don't have to go through your employer. You don't have to go through your business. You can just have an IRA, but you do have limitations on what you can contribute up to. But as a small business owner, especially on the active income side for flippers, wholesalers, agents, so forth and so forth, you should be looking at traditional sole 401ks. So the key term in that is solo, that is for small business owners with no full-time employees. Once you have employees or part-time employees over a certain amount of time, you no longer qualify for this, and you got to look into SEP or other types of retirement accounts that you have to offer to your employees, which could be more costly than if you're just running the business yourself and can just run the solo 401k that you can contribute to your own retirement account. For 2024, the max contribution is $69,000. So that's $23,000 as an employee, but that's during the 12 months during the year. And the other 25% of your earnings. So what you pay yourself salary wise, or whatever your net income is from your business, or what you're paying yourself salary wise, that's your employer portion. It's important to know that the employee portion has to be done during the calendar year. And then the employer portion can be paid after the year, but before you file your taxes. So that gives you opportunity to see how your final tax numbers are looking and determine if you want to go ahead and make that additional contribution if you're looking for additional deductions that way. Similar to any other type of retirement account, you got the tax-free growth along with that upfront deduction. And you must have this set up and like I mentioned before, the employee contributions made before the end of the year. So we have custodians, they're cranking out these retirement accounts out now with people who try to get them set up. You like, depending who you go with, you may have enough time to still get one set up if you think this is beneficial for you. So I won't throw any names or custodians, but we do have some great referrals that we're willing to share at that point. But we're going to crunch some more numbers. Let's do some more math. So nothing wrong with the traditional IRA. $6,000 contribution. His total effective tax rate, federal, state, roughly about 40%. So he's seeing about $2,400 in tax savings. That's good, but we want great. So with the solo 401k, if he's the S corp with his salary, all right, he's making his employee contribution. He's getting that 25% employer contribution because he's having the salary that he's paying himself. So there's a total of $38,000 in contributions for the year, creating with his effective tax rate of 40% of now retaining $15,000 of tax savings that he's getting for setting up his separate retirement account for his business. Now you can have an IRA and you can have the solo 401k. It's not an either or. Contributions on one does not impact the other. So this is not an addition. This is not a difference between the two. So this is an additional $15,000 deduction. So he can have his IRA and have his retirement account as well. So another $15,000 in tax savings there. So that's our strategy number 2, investing for your future, investing for your nest egg, and being able to get the tax savings now for it. Last question. Real estate professional status has been quite a hot topic, a hot phrase used since probably 2017, if not longer. But there's a proper way to help how to use it to help save on taxes, which he doesn't really see. As I tell people, if you're just a real estate professional, if you're just an agent, like if you're not having rental properties, and you're just having sales, like being a real estate professional does nothing for you from a tax perspective. The whole goal of real estate professional status is to have passive losses from your rental properties that you own, help offset your business, your W-2, any other type of income active income that you're making. Because rentals, when we have a loss from your rentals, they're considered passive. They can only offset other passive income. They can't directly offset your W-2. They can't offset your business income, unless you can prove that you're a real estate professional. So that's where the exception for real estate professional status and material participation has to be met in order to get the exception away. So you can you're now not limited to these passive loss limitations from your rentals and see your tax savings that way. And that's when you hear about cost segregation studies, bonus depreciation, which was 100% between 2017 and 2022. We now have been in the sunset period since 2023. So we had 60% for 2024, 40% for 2025. So if you bought rentals in 2024, you can actually still take advantage of bonus depreciation as is. Now, with the most recent election, we'll see with Trump getting back in office, since this was his from his original tax plan from 2017, if he's going to revamp these and get it back to 100% bonus. We'll see. A lot of people hoping for it. We'll probably start seeing some legs, some more conversation about roughly about 8 to 9 months from now is what I'm assuming. And those, what also popped up over the past 5-6 years is the short-term rental strategy. Whereas if you have a rental property, Airbnb, VRBO, average stay is 7 days or less, as long as you can prove that you're materially participating with the property, which is a lot lower bar to hurdle than real estate professional status, then you're able to use those losses to offset your business income. So multiple strategies that can be used if you have rental properties that you bought this year, or if you got rental property that you bought in previous years that you haven't done cost segs for. You can still take advantage of these strategies for 2024 and create some huge passive losses that way for you on your tax return. But let's dig a little bit deeper. What is real estate professional status? How do you qualify? And what's material participation? I don't care if you went out and got your real estate license. Like that does not make you a real estate professional. I had 60 doors at one point under my portfolio. That didn't make me a real estate professional because I spent more time with my tax business than I did with real estate. Looking to change that, but that's not here. That's not here as of right now. So it is a time commitment. You must track your hours in order to qualify for reps and material participation. So here's some of the here's part of the qualifications for reps. 750 qualifying hours, construction, management, acquisition fees. Being acquisition and sales, leasing, brokering, and more than half your work time. So the 750 is typically easy for most real estate professionals. The tough part for most people is more than half your work time. Because the IRS already assumes that the average person with a full-time job works about 2,080 hours a year. So if they challenge you and you got a full-time job, you have to prove to them that you work more. You basically work 4,000 plus hours in a year, which means you spent more of that in real estate. That's a tough case to prove, and there has not been any case as of yet that someone with a full-time job has qualified as real estate professional status. So that's where you kind of get the spouses where one spouse works, one spouse doesn't, and the other spouse gets the real estate professional status. Can make it to a little dating app at that point. Material participation, similar. The hours are pretty similar. The type of work is similar, but it's directed towards your property that you own. Reps is more so you're just running a real estate business. Material participation more so related to your properties that you own. So either you're doing nearly all the work. There's 7 tests. We only got 3 here that actually really most people shoot for. So either you're doing all the work yourself, 100 hours and more than anyone else, or 500 qualifying hours without factoring anybody else hours there. Laekynn brought up the arches. I'm gonna talk about the bitmap. In my analogy, you're breaking down what a cost segregation study is and what does it do. So when it comes to rental properties, you have a straight line method where you just got the cost itself of the property and it's being depreciated over a certain amount of time. When you get a cost segregation study done, anyone remember the Big Mac song? Two all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, see bun. Yeah, that's what a cost segregation is doing. It's taking your property and breaking it down to a whole bunch of different components. Some of it still qualifies for 27.5-year property. Some of it qualifies for 5-year property. Some of it qualifies for 15-year property. The whole purpose is that anything that depreciates less than 20 years qualifies for bonus. So we don't know that when you purchase the property, getting an investment in cost seg study will allow you to do that. And this and kind of breaking it down this way, I'm a pretty big guy. Used to eat Big Macs not too long, not so often now, but just want to give people a visual of what a cost seg study is actually doing and how you then apply that to your property. One more set of math. I guess this is last math class for the night. So that gentleman bought that fourplex, which I may or may not have sold to him. He bought that for $560,000. Now you gotta know what state you're in. You gotta know the land value. Those items are important because you cannot depreciate land. You can only depreciate the building value. So if he's only if he does this without the cost seg, remember we got our big map, which the building itself, that's 27.5-year property. That's a $16,000 deduction per year. And I only put a federal effective tax rate because the state of Virginia, similar to many other states, don't allow for bonus appreciation. So his effective tax rate for federal is 35%, giving him tax savings of $5,700. Good, not great. Now we bring in the cost seg. We still take our building. We then back out the percentage of it that's actually qualified for bonus, which is about 20% at 89,000. Apply the 60%, apply the 35% effective tax rate. Now we get estimated tax savings of $18,000. So we more than tripled our tax savings by making an investment into a cost seg study that you can. There's multiple cost seg companies out there that can do this for you, and to create really additional $13,000 in tax savings. So, like I said, hopefully, I said trying to break it down as best I can, and then now let's call me out. Let's total this all up and see what I'm working with here. So the S corp election was $18,000 of additional tax savings. So traditional solar 1K was $15,000, and then we had another $13,000 from the cost seg and the bonus appreciation itself. Those three strategies, $46,000 in tax savings. Is my math mathing?
I think it's mathing to me. Sounds like it's mathing pretty good.
So stuff like that, and there's other strategies that we work with our clients and work with Jerome on. But like I said, I can't go through all of them in one setting. But that's the stuff you like when you're trying to find a tax advisor to work with. Are they breaking stuff down like this where it's easy for you to comprehend? Because if you can understand it, you will take the time and effort to actually execute it with your advisor. So where should Jerome and you go from here? Let's put some action step. Consult with professionals. Get yourself a good tax advisor. Get yourself a good attorney. Get yourself a good bookkeeper. Cassie is great, and I'm happy that I'm rolling the next segment onto her because you have to get your books in order. These tax strategies don't matter if your books are not in order. And there's no reason why, as Laekynn mentioned earlier, to you focus on a part of the business that you don't feel comfortable doing. You're just doing like invest in a good bookkeeper like Cassie's team to help get your books in order, and then we can start applying these strategies, putting a plan in place, execute that plan, and then reassess from there. And seeing what works and what doesn't work for you. like to end with this quote. I mean, this whole aspect of building passive income and saving on taxes is a team sport. Like no one is doing this by themselves. Everybody wants to know like how the wealthy is saving on taxes. Like they have a team of people that is helping them find the right strategy that works for them. So make sure you have the right coach. Make sure you have the right team members to help you achieve the goals that you would like to make. I appreciate everybody staying awake during my math class. There's been this QR code over my shoulder this whole time. Hope you had a chance to check out my landing page. There's my the link to my page as well. Happy to address any questions. That's all I got.
Wow, Larry, great presentation. Thank you so very much for that. That was awesome. You know, I know right now in my company, we're scrambling to get a couple big burrs qualified here at the end of the year for the bonus depreciation of 60% before January hits and it drops down to 40. So I know what that's like. I also know what it's like to have a tax preparer as opposed to a tax professional and tax strategist. And having somebody who can help you with cost segregation and strategy has made me way more money than I could ever think by saving in taxes. And it does take a team to make the dream work, and a tax professional is a huge part of your team. Larry, great stuff. You know, all the math was mathing. It's hard to do math at night, but what I will say, the biggest takeaway, even if you're not good at math like me, you need to hire somebody like Larry who is good at math, and they'll teach you how to get good at math, even if you don't understand the math, because the math equals money in your bank account. So great stuff, Larry. Thank you so much. And as Larry said, none of that stuff really matters if your books are a disaster. And I'm sorry, most, not just real estate professionals, but most business owners, their books are a disaster. And having a bookkeeper is critical to keep your business in line. And I'm thankful that I have a great one on my team, but we're going to bring on another one today to show you the importance of having a great bookkeeper on your team. And if you don't have one, well, you need to start seriously considering changing that starting today. Cassie, Kramer, thank you so much. Can't wait to see what you have to go for us.
Thank you. I am genuinely stoked to talk nerdy with you guys today. I have a good friend in the financial industry that likes to say it's easier to get naked in front of your doctor than what it is to talk about your finances. So we're going to get just a little bit nerdier, a little bit grittier in the space of talking math, money, and finances. So I'm really excited to be here with you guys today. So I'm going to share my screen on over here with you guys so you can see what all we're looking at. But like has been said there, my name is Cassie Kramer. I own SM Bookkeeping. We've been in place since September of 2019. And we have zeroed in and focused on real estate and real estate investing specifically as our niche over the last 3 years or so. So what that means is we are not just nerdy, but we are really nerdy with real estate. So we kind of know what we're doing here. But what I want to go over today are some of those common bookkeeping red flags we see come across our desk as we've been working with real estate investors over these last couple of years. And so my goal here is to kind of bring to light some of these common mistakes we see so that not only can you avoid them, but then again, you're able to save on that time and that money. That's kind of been the common theme across the board here is your time and your money. But more importantly for me is I want to emphasize how can you keep your time? Because time is the one commodity you will never get back. You can always get more money. You can always get another property. You can always do these other things. You will never get time back. So let's talk about ways you can potentially help in making some of those adjustments to maximize in on your time for 2025 and moving forward. So before we get really nerdy into that, I do want to introduce you on over to my team just really quickly here. What started as just myself branched over into this phenomenal space that we've got. So we've got folks all over the US who are working with us and partnering with us with our clients all over the US. So phenomenal people here, incredibly grateful for them. And I always like to say I'm this nerdy when it comes down to my area of expertise. My folks are this nerdy. So we obviously love what it is we do here. So diving in to the first red flag we see when we come across real estate investors and their financials, Number one, not doing any bookkeeping at all. So this is a problem. Why? Well, you don't have your financial transparency in place. So what this means is that you are relying on your brain, which is prone of error, or very prone to error and full of them, at least mine is. But your financial transparency, you're relying on your brain to keep track of all the different things. So it's very similar to like counting cards. Most people can't count cards because it's just too difficult to keep track of all those moving pieces while you're still trying to do other things. Add in trying to count cards while you are managing your family life, your personal life, your spiritual life, your health life, whatever may be. And at least for me, my brain is shot unless I can have a way to kind of keep track of it. We also don't like it when it comes down to tax time. And Larry kind of talked about this, but you guys, if you don't have financials in place, you are 100% kneecapping people like Larry and saying, here's my best guess, now go do your best guess. They don't like that. You are not their friend when you do that to them. So the goal here is to have your bookkeeping so that you have all of your tools and resources in place so you can make sound financial decisions, but so you can also make sound financial decisions with your tax professional to strategize. And then with really good bookkeeping, you can marry them together. You can't always do that. Sometimes you need to get a little bit tricky in there with it. So how do you fix this? You're going to make your bookkeeping a non-negotiable responsibility and task, either on your calendar, on your assistant's calendar. Make sure whoever it is that's managing it, it's non-negotiable. This is something that you're implementing right here, right now, today. You're going to go through and take some of these tools and resources we talk about here and make it an actionable step that you take next, right? So that's one thing you can do, is make it a non-negotiable. You are doing it. If you are not already, it's now happening. The second thing you're going to do here is you can have the option of outsourcing to a qualified bookkeeper. So that qualifier in there, the word qualified, because we're a little redundant tonight, but qualified means that it's not just someone who says, well, I can click buttons in QuickBooks, because that doesn't count. Because you want someone who's just as nerdy about real estate as what you are, because there are nuances, just like what Larry mentioned in there with taxes. There's nuances when it comes down to your bookkeeping in the real estate space. You want to make sure you know how to manage and navigate with. There's a reason why my firm doesn't take e-commerce bookkeeping requests. We could do it, and we do a pretty decent job, but we would not be phenomenal. You want someone, if you are outsourcing, you want them to be phenomenal in what it is they're able to do, because those resources are what you give to your phenomenal tax preparer, or I'm sorry, not tax professional, or guys, words, it's not working for me tonight. You want to be able to take it to your tax professional then, who's also phenomenal like what Larry is, and be able to let everything just roll in its beautiful space, right? So red flag number 2 that we see is mixing personal and business funds together, AKA commingling. So commingling is a big fat no-no because it causes all sorts of cash flow confusion. How are you supposed to track in your head one set of financials, say for example your business, as well as your personal things, if you are just mixing it all together? I guarantee it, because I've seen it every single time. It's got 100% fail rate from everything that I've seen. You will get into financial trouble at some point or another because you will forget something. Something happens, it will come through. I've not seen it ever be successful, okay? Second part here is that accounting accuracy. So again, you're leading into your accounting accuracy as far as being able to back up any sort of numbers you provide over your tax professional. Your tax professional will do what they can with what you provide them. They're not going to sit there and say, well, we need to do this instead, because they have no idea the technicalities of what happened in your business. So if you don't have this direct accuracy and you know that it's there 100%, which it's really difficult to do if you're mixing all of your business and personal together, you're 100% shooting yourself in the foot and your tax professional. That's just all it is, right? So this also leads into what we call the piercing of the corporate veil. Now, I'm not an attorney. In no way or place or form am I ever going to be an attorney, although I am very good at arguing. This is not legal advice, okay? We leave that over for the legal professionals. However, this is something that multiple legal professionals have said time and time again. Larry mentioned it just this time before. There's a reason why you have your entity set up the way you do. Your LLC is a legal entity. It's there to protect your assets within that space. The goal is you're creating a bubble around it, so it's there and as it is. But if you're piercing through that bubble with your personal transactions and everything else, it's no longer acting as this bubble and this guard. You're opening up so many more opportunities for things to go through and to be seen. So if there is an issue here, or if there's an issue in other places, you're almost opening the doors for opposing counsel to say, hey, look, there's also this that could potentially come and bite you in the bum, right? Last but not least are those privacy concerns. Now, it's really kind of funny. So Laekynn, Larry, and I, we did not connect before when we started, everyone talking about McDonald's. We're talking about McDonald's here as well. So when it comes down to your privacy concerns, whether it's something as small as, hey, however many times you actually feed your kids McDonald's, right here, or if it's something a little bit more embarrassing in your personal life as far as like your own entertainment choices. You have people in your life that are going to see it if you start mixing in your personal things in with your business, if you guys are catching my drift. So if you have your personal life bleeding over into your business, that means whoever it is that has access to your business finances, this could be an employee, it could be your bookkeeper, it could be your tax professional, it could be a partner, it could be a lender, it could be all sorts of different people who have access to this. Do you really want them seeing that deep into your personal life? So really is just a matter of preference. Me, I'm a fairly private person. I hide however many times I get my kids McDonald's behind my personal credit card. But that's just me. Preference, but thing to be thinking about when it does come to how real you want to be in and how seriously you want to be taken in your business and in your industry, right? So how do you fix this? Guys, set up a business bank account. Set up your entity, set up your business bank account. It's really that easy. It's not a difficult thing to do. If you go to your local bank and say, hey, I want to set this up, do you know what they're going to say? Okay, because they want you to come bank with them. So go set up your business bank account. It's not a difficult thing. Secondly, you're going to establish what I call a financial stewardship method, aka a budget. People don't like the word budget, so I say financial stewardship method. But what you want to do there is by creating that financial stewardship method, that budget, it's going to better establish and stabilize your business finances as well as your personal finances. So there's going to be less of the doing this with your finances, doing less of borrowing from each other, right? You want to make sure that whatever you're drawing, it's staying there. You want to make sure whatever you need in your business, it's there, right? Do less of the borrowing back and forth. So next thing you're going to do is you're going to make any sort of necessary adjustments you need to for any sort of online store, online accounts, that sort of thing. So if you've got a professional account set up with Home Depot, go make adjustments you need to over there in order to remove any sort of like personal credit card or whatever it may be. I know you like those credit card rewards. I know you like those miles, whatever it may be. It's not worth it, guys. Go separate it out. Go take care of whatever it is you need to do there. Just do it, okay? And then last, you're going to remove any sort of temptations. So if you don't need to be carting around your business debit card or your business credit card, then let it stay at your desk. Put it in a safe. Do whatever it is you need to do, properly store it. But remove it from your wallet. It doesn't need to be something that you're constantly carting with you unless you need to. But it just kind of removes that temptation of, oh, yeah, I'll just go and take this, or I'll just go and do that. Set yourself that boundary that you're just going to go ahead and take care of whatever it is you need to at this point, okay? Red flag number 3, and this is one of my favorite ones because I sit there and wonder how people can be really confident in their financials without reconciling every single month. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with what this means in business, what it means is that you are taking your accounting software and you're putting your software against your bank statements and against your brain and making sure all 3 are in agreement with each other. So what this does is it helps make sure that you don't potentially have any duplicate transactions. It also helps to make sure you're not potentially missing anything as well. So you don't want either of those things to happen because they are inaccurate, and we don't like inaccuracies when it comes down to financials. So why is this not a good thing? So your reconciliation can help guard against those errors, like I was talking about, where if you are duplicate or if you are missing something, it helps guard against that, right? Secondly, it can help guard against fraud. Now, it doesn't completely protect you from fraud because folks who want to will absolutely do it. If they're in and they have access to your money and they're wanting to, they still could, right? But it is a step. It's one of those extra boundaries and layers you can put in place to help guard against it, okay? It can also help guard against your cash flow problems. So that's, again, one of those things where if you're not putting all these moving pieces and then reconcile, making sure that everything is balancing the way it's supposed to, you could lead to some of those cash flow issues where you're not quite tracking everything properly, which can make it really difficult to run a successful business. So how do you fix it? This one's a really simple one-liner. It's completed each month. So whoever it is that is managing your financials, if it's you, you are now having a very hard conversation with yourself where you make it non-negotiable or you're firing yourself. If it's someone in your office that's a qualified bookkeeper and able to do it, make it non-negotiable. Ask them this question if they're doing it and have them show you to make sure that it is. If they're not, set it as a new expectation of something that you guys are implementing starting immediately. And then make sure and follow through that it is actually happening, right? Because this is one of those really easy things you can do to safeguard your finances to make sure that everything is doing what it's supposed to. Okay. So last red flag, and this is one of the biggest ones I have seen because I scream internally out of sadness for them because there's so much that is being missed out when you're not taking advantage of this opportunity. So red flag number 4 is skipping professional reviews. And Larry kind of talked about this before here, guys, but we're going to dig a little bit deeper in the day-to-day side and why. Okay. So this is not ideal for a couple of reasons. One, you are biased and you are emotional, especially when it comes down to a business that you built yourself. I don't care how logical you think you are when it comes down to your business, that sucker is your baby and you are biased and you are emotional about it, no matter what. Your third-party reviews are unbiased and they are non-emotional because it's not ours. We can be, right? So, secondly, you don't know what you don't know. So you want to know enough about all things in your business to know when potentially wool is being pulled over your eyes. So I'm not a mechanic. I'm not an expert in cars in any way, shape, or form, but I can 100% tell you there's no such thing as blinker fluid. I know that, okay? I know this enough to know that if a mechanic were to tell me, yeah, we need to replace all your blinker fluid, I'd say, no, not quite. But if a mechanic were to turn to me and start talking fully deep into my car, it'd be, well, I'm not 100% sure what you're saying right now because that's not my zone of genius. Now, you need to know about finances and your financials and tax and strategies and things like that to be able to know semi where it is you're wanting to go and have that education, but you don't need to be the knower of all the things. This is a concept that is talked about by Dan Sullivan. He is a business coach, and he has that concept written out by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. He's a psychology major when it comes down to entrepreneurs and such. So they wrote a book called Who, Not How. And the concept behind this is that it's not your job to know all the hows. It's your job to know the who's, to put them in the correct house so they can maximize in their zone of genius and you can maximize in yours. It is not your job to know all the things. It is your job to know how to put the proper who's in their proper spots. Okay. So that again goes down to, well, you don't know what you don't know. So what are you going to do to fix these professional reviews? My opinion, this is the opinion of Cassie Kramer. You want to have a qualified bookkeeper on hand to do a formal review with you quarterly. So what that means is that they're taking a look at your financials and going, okay, based off of our experience and what we've seen, you've got a really high marketing budget. You're seeing a lot of things there. Have we done a review yet to see whether you're getting the ROI you're wanting for each of your various methods, to make sure that the mailings you're sending out are actually giving you the results you want, to make sure that the money you're spending on SEO is giving you the results you want, to make sure that your networking that you're doing and the money you're spending there is actually giving you the results you want. It's asking you those questions along the way, not that we're there to tell you what to do, but we're there to prompt you into thinking a little bit deeper, into looking at things a little bit more objectively, right? And doing that quarterly means you're looking less in the past and doing a woulda, coulda, shoulda, and more looking ahead into the future, right? Second thing you're going to do, and you're going to do this starting this month, genuinely, if you don't have a tax professional who does this, you're going to engage over with Larry and do it with him. Otherwise, if you've got a tax professional that strategizes, you're going to go send them an email and say, hey, I want to strategize with you to make sure I'm hitting my tax liability goals for 2024. And do you know what they're going to do when you send that email? Okay, here's my calendar link. I can 100% tell you that's what's going to happen because that's what Larry does, because they're all about getting nerdy with you and helping you save on those tax strategies. Okay. So we're going to do a little bit more math, but this is the easiest math problem. It's simple math, but I like simple math and pointing out simple math because I tend to forget to think about the simple math. Okay. So we're going to talk about the actual value you are going to assign yourself in 2025. So what I want you to do is I'm going to do it too. I want you to pull out your calculator. Okay. Simple math. There's a lot of anomalies you can put into this, but we're still going to play anyway, right? Keep it really easy. I want you to think about how much you want to make in 2025. You all have a goal. I already have my goal established. I know you guys do as well because you're not slouches. That's why you're here. So I want you to think about what your revenue goal is for 2025, and I want you to put it up in your calendar, your calculator. You don't need to share with anyone. This is a very private, personal thing, okay? But I want you to put in your calculator what your revenue and income goal is for this next year. Then I want you to decide in your head your goal on how many hours you want to work each week on average over the course of this next year. Now, we're not going to take into account, oh, well, you want vacation time. We're not going to talk about holidays or anything like that. Again, we're keeping this really simple and really easy, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to find out what your value on an hourly basis is for 2025, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to take that total from number one that you put into your calculator, and you're going to divide it by 52 because there's 52 weeks in a year, okay? And then from there, you're going to divide that total by the total number of hours you want to ideally work each week. And then you're going to hit that equal sign. So your total here is your own personal value. For each hour you are assigning this value to that you're investing in 2025 into your business. So what that means is that, for example, you've got a goal to see 500,000 in revenue. You're going to be dividing that by the 52 and say you're wanting to say about 30 hours each week. That means your hourly value is $320. Okay. So what you're going to do now is you're going to approach everything you do from this moment forward with the idea of, is this worth $320 or whatever your total is in whatever the task is that's coming up to you. Okay. So now that you know this true value, we're going to talk about how we maximize it, and we're going to dive in a little bit deeper into that who, not how concept, right? Understanding there are some things you will 100% be keeping on your plate, either because it's a comfort level, although I challenge busting outside of your comfort zone, or it's a matter of, yes, this value is within my space that relies on me, and this is something that I still need to hold in my workflow each week or each day, right? So, but we're going to talk about ways in the accounting and bookkeeping space that we can better protect your brain power and your time, right? Because those are things you'll never be able to get back. So one of those things, and we are so excited, this is brand new. We're officially launching it live. You guys get to hear about it first. We've got a new Inner Circle coaching program that we are here. I'm very excited to share with you guys. So what this sucker is it gives you the ability to talk with us. You're going to consult directly with my team. And what we're going to do is we're going to get a really good understanding as far as what it is your business is doing. And then from there, we are going to build out a custom QuickBooks Online profile for you. So QuickBooks Online is not a DIY software, okay? It's not a DIY software. It is a full-blown accounting software, which means it's got several nuances in there that unless you directly know what it is you're doing, you're going to mess things up, guaranteed, okay? So what this does is it gives you the opportunity to go through and have a custom setup for your QuickBooks Online and the training behind it, which is the really important part, because again, it's not a DIY software. You're going to get fully trained on how to manage this easily repeatable process that my team custom builds out for you. And then from there, you get 12 full months of full email access over to your bookkeeping team. Okay. That means my full bookkeeping team, those awesome people you saw at the very beginning, that's now your bookkeeping team. You get full email access to them for a year. So that means any question that comes up, you get that full support. And then we are hosting semi-monthly coaching calls. So they're an hour piece. So that's happening twice a month where you're going in and you're going to be held accountable, because business owners need accountability, right? I do. But you're being held accountable then to making sure bookkeeping is a priority. Remember how we talked about that before? And then you're going through and you're able to keep things up the way exactly it is you're supposed to. So this is a really good option for those who are just entering into the, okay, I need real bookkeeping in place space, okay? Now, of course, there's always all sorts of different options when it comes down to your bookkeeping. This is a really good opportunity for folks where I'm starting out, I'm trying to figure out what it is I'm looking at, this is a great place to start. So how does this coaching actually help? Of course, it helps save that time and that brain power, because instead of earning your YouTube degree or asking Google accountant or asking Facebook land or asking your half drunk uncle who starts a sentence with back in my day, you're getting your bookkeeping team here to support you, which is incredibly important, right? You're avoiding those mistakes we've talked about before, because we're going to tell you, no, we're not connecting your personal bank account in here. Get that out, right? And then last but not least, you're getting those real-time answers and support. So I know for me, when I'm not 100% confident in something, it will keep me up at night. That will be what keeps me up at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, not leaving my brain. Not that there's anything I can do about it in that moment, but it's still there. This is meaning you're no longer sitting there thinking, oh, I don't know how to answer this question, it's stressing me out. You get to put that in its own little box, put it away, go to bed, and then open that box back up during one of those coaching calls or over an email and send it on over to the team to get your questions answered. You guys, this is a big deal, because there's a reason why you have the business you have. You are not an accountant, you're not a bookkeeper. It's not what you enjoy, it's not where you get nerdy. You get nerdy in the space that you get. So let that be in the space you maximize, because that is where you get your true value and where you get to see that true revenue come back and hit those revenue goals you're looking for those profit goals you're looking for. That is genuinely the key to achieving those various goals. So it's time to reclaim your time and to amplify that growth into 2025 and beyond. So like I mentioned, when you do partner with us on bookkeeping, and of course, any qualified bookkeeper, shoot, if I'm not the best fit, you turn around and say, Cassie, I don't think I like your kind of sassy attitude. Totally fine. Go find someone else then. Find whoever it is that does click with you. But when you do, make sure you're finding someone that gives you that ability to maximize further in that zone of genius where you are nerdy, maximizing your portfolio's potential, where it gives you the opportunity to grow and move into that growth with that confidence, that clarity in your finances and everything you're doing in that space. So there's two things, or one thing I want you to do, but two things leading from that one thing. There's a QR code right here. I want you to go open up your phone and get into that QR code. What it's going to do is it's going to take you to my website. So number one, right when that website pops up, there is a pop-up menu that comes up that gives you the option of downloading my free ebook. So there are 7 additional red flags I've put in there, including 3 of the ones we talked about here today. So a total of 10. There's 10 red flags I list out in there where I discuss what it is and how you fix it, okay? This is really important because that means these massive amounts of information, everything else I just gave here, you have it down in written form that you're easily able to go back and access again, and it's completely free. So I want you to go and download that ebook because it's a great free resource, gets you started and moving in a direction better than where you're at right now. Secondly, it gives you that opportunity to schedule a call to chat with me. And that's where we're going to talk about your bookkeeping and say, okay, what options do you even have available? What would make sense in moving forward? What do you want to start to look at in achieving your goals for 2025 so you can thrive? So it's not necessarily a space where it's, hey, Cassie's going to say, we're going to work together, because there are folks where I say, I don't think we're the best fit for you. And I give you a referral for someone else. But this is an opportunity to talk with someone who is unbiased about finances and about your financials and see what might make sense moving forward. So that's where we're at there. Go get your ebook. Go schedule that call. Let's talk nerdy. I want to hear what you've got going on in your world. And let's talk about ways you can maximize to thrive in 2025. So, of course, any questions, feel free to put those down in the chat. I want to make sure we're capturing those at the end there to answer anything that comes up. But that's it for me. I'm going to go ahead and turn this time back on over to Jeremy.
Awesome. Cassie, great job. Really, a lot of great information there. I love the red flags. And honestly, $2,800, a little more than $200 average per month to get bookkeeping coaching sounds like the deal of the century for me. Tremendous value there. So thank you for sharing that as well. And a free ebook to go with it. So I hope everybody's going to take advantage of that. Guys, bookkeeping is super important. Don't fall into the trap. When you go to get audited and you don't have your bookkeeping in order, your life is going to be a living hell. Don't be one of those guys. But before we get into my presentation, which I promise is the last presentation tonight, so I appreciate everybody staying with us. There will be an email going out with the presentation and everybody's contact information. So if you do want to get this presentation sent to your inbox, please make sure you reach out to us and send us your email for the VIP access. If you're on social media, please go ahead and do that. If you're here on the Zoom, go ahead and put that in the chat, and we'll make sure we capture all those emails and send everything out to everybody tomorrow, because Laekynn, which rhymes with bacon, is going to be the bomb that takes care of that tomorrow for us. So we really appreciate that as well. While we're here, it's been a long night. Everybody, let's just kind of stand up, twist the back, do some jumping jacks. I jumped out of the screen. We could do some toe bends, right? Let's get the blood flowing again. It's been a long night sitting in the chair. It's most past our bedtimes, but hey, I appreciate everybody investing into the futures. 2024 is wrapping up. We're going into 2025. So this stuff is super important. We're teaching you how to do your books, how to brand, how to save money in taxes. And now I'm going to teach you how to get more deals, if I can figure out how to run this thing. So no promises, but I'm going to do my best. All right, let's see. All right, I think we are good to go. Aside, let's rock and roll. Yeah. All right, let me minimize you guys so I can actually see what I'm doing. And we are going to start the slideshow from beginning, because that's the only thing I know how to do. All right. So today, guys, is my presentations on our top sales techniques to get more deals, bigger deals, and less cancellations when you're buying off-market distressed properties. You want to have rental properties, you want to have flips, you want to have wholesales. If you're going to be spending money for branding, and you're going to be having bookkeeping and trying to save money from Uncle Sam, and you're going to have this illegal team that protects your ass so you don't get sued or spend all this money in fines, awesome. Well, one thing you need to do is you need to generate leads. And then when you get those leads, you need to have a sales system in place to convert those leads into deals and then revenue. So let's get in that today. All right, our top 5 sales techniques for achieving these goals is perceived ownership, status alignment, overcoming higher authority with and timeline objections, providing certainty, and handling price objections and negotiations with distressed sellers. When it comes to buying off-market distressed properties, just move this out of the way a little bit. Thank you. Oh, I went backwards. Hold on. Jumping ahead. When it comes to buying off-market distressed properties, it's essential for buyers to employ effective sales techniques to secure more deals, bigger deals, and minimize cancellation. All that, guys, means is when you're spending a lot of money on marketing, you're converting it to more deals and bigger spreads. These techniques focus on building trust, establishing rapport, addressing concerns, and finding mutually beneficial solutions, ultimately leading to successful negotiations and transactions. Holy smokes, look at that long-haired hippie from 1989. Well, that guy is me. That was right when I went into high school. And man, I must have probably smoked a pack of red Marlboro cigarettes that day. But who is this guy? Why am I here? Why on earth would you listen to any advice from a guy that looks like that? I have no idea. You guys should just shut this off right now and just be done with it. Well, I was that kid turned into a troubled youth who eventually turned into a white collar professional after a long stint of cleaning high-rise window cleanings in Boston. I used to hang off skyscrapers for a measly $20,000 a year, driving my $400 beater car to get there, had no credit, had no money, but I got lucky to get a white collar job and found some success doing business to business sales, selling copiers. Life was pretty good. And I was in my early 30s and I was making 6 figures. I was married. I had a house. I had 2 young kids. I had nice cars. I had a camper up at Point Sebago in Maine, which was a pretty big deal for us. I was living the white picket fence dream, one that as a young, poor, broke child, always growing up, always dreamed of, and I achieved it. Well, something happened, as you can see to this newspaper, that's a little dated back in 2009. We had something called the Great Recession. And me at this time, there I am with shorter hair, still more hair than I have now, which I wish wasn't the case. And my 2 little children who are now in their 20s. God, I feel so old. That recession at that time kicked my butt. And it was a tough time for many people during that time. And I was not one that was going to escape it. So as many of you guys know, it was an employment crisis and a housing crisis. So as somebody like myself who didn't graduate high school, who didn't have a college degree, I found myself upside down in my house very quickly within about a year, well over $100,000. And to top it all off, I was unemployed. I was let go from my job, and I couldn't find a job anywhere. Back then, people who were highly more educated than me and had better jobs than me were taking lesser jobs, lesser paying jobs, and lesser qualified jobs just to make ends meet, because we were all struggling to get through the time, which really pushed me down the ladder even more, to a point where I couldn't even find work at all. So here I am, as I showed you, 33 years old with those two young kids. A year earlier, I had it all. A year later, I was broke. I was poor. I was losing my house. I was on the brink of foreclosure. I was on the brink of bankruptcy. Couldn't find a job. I felt like a loser. I felt depressed and everything else. And there wasn't much hope. You know, there was no SBA loans. There was no buyouts. The only people who got bought out or, you know, helped out were the banks. The rest of us, there was no bailing out. You were basically screwed. So somehow I made it through that, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But here I am many years later, and that isn't the story. I survived that storm. And my wife and I, Shelly, are successful real estate investors that have closed over 450 off-market property acquisitions across 6 states since 2017. We built a thriving business from just $11,000 in a dream. We worked tirelessly, like I am tonight, right now, for 3 years, growing up in a business while juggling full-time jobs, blending a family, even downsizing to a tiny apartment to make ends meet. Today, we continue to grow our business with a team of rock stars focused on providing time, freedom, and wealth opportunities for our team members, along with helping others through our coaching program to achieve financial freedom through real estate investing. So thanks to hard work and dedication, my wife and I, we really enjoy like life on our terms. We are lifestyle investors. We are not all about the almighty dollar. We are about the almighty time. I'm pretty sure I heard somebody early on say the one thing that you can't get back is time, right? We can always buy more houses. We can always make more money, but you can't always get more time. Shelly and I are all about enjoying as much time as possible. So there's us and our kids. We are a blended family of 5 kids, which is absolutely crazy. That has been the reason why I lost all my hair, that in real estate, to be honest. So the condo on the left is how I started my business. So after the recession, I went into the Air Force because that was the only thing I could find. I joined the Air Force at 33 years old, went into basic training with a bunch of 17-year-old kids. My nickname was Gramps because I was twice as old as everybody else, but that was my key to getting through the Great Recession. I'll talk to you a little bit more about that briefly upcoming. But when I was approaching 40 years old, I got myself built back up to making 6 figures in a sales job again. And I wanted to have control of my life. And I was really worried that if I continued working for somebody else, the older I got, the more expendable I could be. And I didn't want to be unemployed, facing bankruptcy or foreclosure, or being broke or poor again. So I came across a podcast called Wholesaling Inc. And I listened to that thing for an entire year as I traveled the country as a salesperson, as a single divorced dad of 2 kids living in that townhouse. And I decided I wanted to join wholesaling. But in order to do that, I had to come up with some money for coaching, and I had to come up with some money for my business. I didn't have any money. I was living paycheck to paycheck. Even though I was making pretty decent money, I was still living paycheck to paycheck to make ends meet. So I decided to sell that condo, move my kids into this crappy little 2-bedroom apartment, and I burned the boats. I was all in. And I made $17,000 off of the sale of that townhouse, and $6,000 went off to pay off some credit card debt. $5,000 went into a coaching program. $6,000 went into marketing and starting my business and LLC formation, and got an attorney, did all the contracts, did it all the right way. I failed my way forward that first year in 2017 to 10 deals and $73,000. But the foundation of something great was made, right? I built the foundation. And as I told you, as we stand here today, we've done over 450 off-market deals since, which is just absolutely mind-blowing. So after some success, I hired some sales guys. We were kicking in butt up in Western New York with Dylan, up in Rochester and Buffalo, New York. We were kicking ass here in New Hampshire, Massachusetts with Eddie. I had 2 sales guys that did over 100 deals each way more than I ever did. And I couldn't train them anymore. And I knew I had to go find them a coach that could teach them. But finding a coach was not easy, because finding somebody who's done that many deals that can coach somebody to that level, to the next level, is not easy. You can see these were all the houses we just started crewing over the years. Then I found this guy, Dan Toback. He's a guy who has been in real estate investing for 10 years. He's done over 600 transactions himself over the past 10 years and worked as an acquisition guy for two of the best coaches in this industry. I hired him as a coach to hire those two other guys, and we just went to new levels. And then we opened up Coastal Florida Home Buyers, decided doing business down there. And that was just how we all came to creating a coaching program called REI Freedom and building our top sales techniques. So I'm going to go through this pretty quick because I know it's getting kind of late. Again, if you guys want this, what I'm going to say is, Asai, if you could put this into the chat, if you go to reifreedom.com/top sales, and we can put that in the Facebook groups as well, reifreedom.com/top sales, you can download this ebook for free, and this will go over everything you want to know. So tonight will be a brief overview of that. So technique number one, perceived ownership, is a powerful technique that involves guiding distressed sellers to believe that selling the property to the buyer is their own decision. The technique is based on the principle that people are more likely to follow through decisions they feel that they have made for themselves. Guys, people don't like to be sold, and they don't like salespeople. We're not selling. We are guiding them through a journey, and they have to, at the end of the day, believe this is their decision to want to do business with you or not to do business with you. We are not going to convince people to do business with us if they're not the right fit. So you really want to be a consultant. You're going there to be a consultant, guide them to what is the best decision for them. Ultimately, we hope that is us as the house buyer, but many times it's not, and that's okay. Provide value either way. Actively listen to the seller's concerns, needs, and desire. Demonstrate genuine interest and empathy. Guys, come from a place of empathy always. Don't pressure and manipulate the sellers into making a bad decision that's for that not good for them. Be a solution to the seller's problems, because at the end of the day, that's what we do. We solve people's problems. Empower the seller to believe that selling to you is in their best interest. And don't be afraid to fire yourself and back away. Pull away. If you're not the right deal or right solution for them, just pull away. Let them chase you. If you guys have ever heard about chasing a dog, right? What happens when you go and chase a dog? That dog runs away. But when you stop and run away from the dog, what happens? The dog chases you. So what we want is the sellers chasing us. We don't go chasing the sellers. And there it is. Use the consultant approach instead of the salesy approach. Nobody likes salespeople. Yuck. Blah. All right. Technique number two, status alignment. Status alignment is a technique that aims to create a sense of social equality and rapport between the buyer and distressed seller. The idea behind this technique is that people are more likely to trust and collaborate with others they perceive to be on the same level as them. So go make a friend. It's just that easy. Just be a friend, right? We want to connect with people. Be a friend. Dan Toback, what I love about him, he's like, every time he goes on an appointment with a seller, he's just like, it's just another opportunity to make a friend. Whether we get the house or not under contract, it doesn't matter. We're just going to make a friend. And sure as heck don't show up like this. You know, if you're going to show up and you're going to show up in your flashy car with all your jewelry and all the money and the fancy suits, you're not going to be relatable to somebody who's trying to sell their house who's distressed. So make sure you show up in a way that, you know, is respectful to where they are. So you need to get on the same social level hierarchy as the seller. Find common ground with the seller, right? Places, hobbies, job, family dynamics can all be great areas of common ground. Establish a genuine connection with them, right? Go deeper into those commonalities and connect by asking more open-ended questions, right? Build rapport. Hey, I went to that church. Hey, my son used to play for that soccer team. Hey, I used to grow up around that area. Oh, hey, I know somebody that went to that school, right? Those are great ways to connect with people. Be a collaborator rather than an adversary, and use status alignment as a way to have the seller really open up about why they are selling, right? The goal is to make a new friend. And let's face it, guys, right? When you're making a new friend, we want to make a new friend by what? Connecting with them, building rapport, coming from a place of honesty and transparency, right? The best way to get somebody who doesn't know you from a hole in the wall, who's distressed, who's probably very ashamed of their situation and has to go into details with a complete stranger, well, that's not a very easy thing to do. But doing it with a friend who they can connect with and they feel comfortable with, well, that makes it a lot easier for you to understand what the problems are to bring a solution to. Technique number 3, overcoming higher authority and timeline objections. When it comes to negotiating with distressed sellers, it is important to address objections related to higher authority and timelines effectively. By following certain strategies, buyers can increase their chances of reaching a successful agreement. Always, always, always confirm that all decision makers are there and always understand the why behind the timeline. So many times I hear about people going to meet with the seller and the other decision makers aren't there and they can't get the deal done because they have to go check with so-and-so to make sure it's the right decision. Make sure everybody's there and make sure you understand behind the timeline. All right, so must involve all decision makers in the negotiation process, right? So we just did a deal where we had multiple siblings that inherited a house. We thought we had all decision makers there because the realtor assured me, because this was brought to us by an agent, that the decision makers were there. Well, after we started getting into negotiations about an hour into our meeting, we realized that there was another sibling that was a decision maker that wasn't there. So I got that decision maker on the phone, and then the three of us, the 3 siblings and myself, decided to have a negotiation, and we got the deal done rather than them having the 2 siblings go back and talk to the other sibling and come back to me. Because at the end of the day, all decision makers are going to have questions and concerns and want to understand exactly what's going on. And you need to have a real-time conversation to make sure that all those questions and concerns are addressed, or else you're going to not get the deal done. Ask questions on how other people may feel about selling the property. Hey, Mr. Seller, what does your wife think about selling the property? Is she on board? Because if she isn't, I don't know if we should be talking. Are there any other family or partner discords or disputes? Hey, Mr. Seller, you mentioned you had other siblings involved in this transaction of this inherited house. Are you guys getting along? Are you guys all in agreement that you want to sell the house? Or is there discord or disputes about who and what's going to happen with this house? That's really important stuff to know ahead of time. And again, make sure all decision makers have a clear understanding of all next steps. Timeline objections are commonly a cover for a real objection. So what is that timeline objection covering? I need to close in 3 weeks. I need to close in 3 months. Well, you need to understand the motivation behind that timeline, right? They may be wanting to sell in 3 weeks because they may be in the risk of losing their house to foreclosure or a tax lien, or, they may have negotiated some kind of IRS payment that they didn't, or discount payment that they were supposed to make. And then they realize, oh shoot, if I don't sell my house, I'm actually not going to be qualified for this anymore, right? There's a lot of different things. Sometimes, people say, I don't want to move in 3 months because they're afraid if they sign a contract, especially the elderly, that you're going to force them out in 30 days and they don't have a place to live, right? So they may be willing to sign a contract with you today if they understand, hey, there's no timeline here. We're not going to kick you out until we help you find a place, right? So understanding the motivation behind the timeline is critical for success. And don't agree to any timeline without fully understanding why they need to have that timeline. I would tell you a story, but we don't have time tonight. But if you reach out to me and you want to chat, I'll share you some good stories on timelines. All right. Technique number 4, providing certainty. When a professional house buying investor aims to provide more certainty to a distressed seller, you can employ several techniques to build trust and confidence in their offer. So share a story how you've helped others and make sure you get those reviews. This is old, but New Hampshire home buyers, we're approaching 100 Google reviews. Do you know how much credibility that gives me when people start looking us up on Google? It's incredible. And if they go and start looking on our website of all the testimonials, we provide certainty, right? When they look at somebody else and nobody else has Google reviews or any testimonials, it's hard to know if that person is going to come through, because when you're distressed and you're facing foreclosure and the sale of this house is really depending on all the next steps in your life, you need to make sure that you're working with somebody that's going to provide certainty that the deal gets done. So reassure them of your commitment and perseverance, that you're experienced in the field and with similar sellers in the similar situations, right? They always feel like their situation is very unique. Reassure them that you have worked with people in similar situations and you know how to navigate the complexities of their situation. They need to know that you're a professional that can understand and navigate those complexities, and reassure them of your commitment and perseverance, because if they lose, you lose, we all lose, right? We all wanted to make it a win-win situation. And be transparent and honest when talking with and working with the seller. Don't mislead them. Don't lie to them. Just be open and honest. If you don't know, tell them you don't know and tell them you find out the answer. If you do know, tell them. If you're going to be wholesaling the deal to somebody else instead of being a cash buyer and taking it down yourself, tell them that. They don't care. Just be open and honest, because if the deal starts to struggle for whatever reason, that open and honesty is going to allow them to want to work with you through some of the challenges that you may arise. And they need to feel confident that you can follow through. That if you lose, if you all lose, the deal fails, not just the seller, right? They don't want to feel like, hey, well, as a seller, I'm S out of luck, but the buyer is okay. No, everybody loses. Everybody wins. Everybody loses. So quick story. That's me now with no hair because they shaved it. And this is me at 33 years old when I did basic training. Now, I don't know why my nickname looks like Gramps, because as I stand here today, I look like a young kid. I wish I looked that young. But that was the house that I almost lost to foreclosure and bankruptcy in 2009, 2010. I was learning about real estate investing at that time. It was a real estate investor that came and saved me from bankruptcy and foreclosure. The first off-market acquisition deal, or the first off-market real estate deal I ever did, I was the distressed seller. And that real estate investor came in and gave me a reset button in life. And not only did he give me a reset button in life, but guys, if that didn't happen then, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. I would not have done $10 million in real estate deals since then, right? We're all one or two bad decisions from hitting rock bottom. Sometimes we're one or two, world events, life choices, things outside of our control that can make us hit rock bottom, right? Like the world falling into a real estate recession and a job crisis recession back then. Those things we can't control, but it can also put us into a position where we hit rock bottom. So that real estate investor came in, he short saled my house. I got into the military as a result of it. If I went into bankruptcy and foreclosure, I would not have gone into the military because I couldn't get the top secret clearance. And the military, guys, was my only way out of that dark time because I couldn't afford to go back to college and I couldn't find a job anywhere else. So that's what we do when we get off market properties. We are literally helping people like that, like myself during that time in the community. All right. Last technique here. And we'll wrap this up so everybody can go to bed. All right. Technique number 5, handling price objections and negotiations with distressed sellers. This section focuses on techniques to handle pricing objections and negotiate with distressed sellers by providing value beyond money and tailoring solutions to their specific needs. Buyers can address objections and negotiate mutually beneficial terms. Key techniques include extracting a price through open-ended questions, demonstrating value beyond price, and utilizing anchoring techniques. Don't make it about the numbers. So many people come in, they come in, they meet with the seller, they say, all right, your house needs a new kitchen, you need a new roof, this house is distressed, the best I could do is give you 60 cents on the dollar, right? What's the value in that? Once you do that, when you make it about the numbers, everybody loses, right? And again, your first 2 objections when you're going in is people don't like salespeople and people don't like to be sold. And when you make it about the numbers, you come across like a salesperson and you're trying to sell somebody on it. Don't make it about the numbers. Make it about value. So have you built enough rapport? Are you even the right fit for the seller? Don't make the conversation and negotiations about the numbers. tailor a customized solution for this situation in exchange for equity in the property. Because at the end of the day, that's what we do. Our service is providing a solution for their problem. They pay us for and with equity in their property, and then we take that equity in their property and we turn it into revenue by various ways of being a real estate investing professional. Extract the price from the seller first, right? This is something that's really important. The person who usually gives the price first is usually the one that wins the negotiation. So, try your best to get the price from the seller first. I don't know why everybody, when they put a car out in their front lawn, knows exactly how much they're going to sell it for, right? $2,000 the best offer, but when it comes to selling the house, they have no freaking idea how much they want to sell it for. The reality is, they're afraid to say a price too low and leave money on the table. So you need to navigate that, right? So what do they consider a fair price for the property? What are their goals in selling the property, right? And demonstrate the value you bring beyond the monetary aspect. As an investor, I can't pay you top dollar, but I can bring value A, value B, value C that, doesn't have a monetary value to it, but it does have a monetary value, right? Because I'm going to be able to provide you a lot more value than just paying you for your house. If you can't extract the price from the seller, which happens, try the anchoring low technique. If you guys haven't read Chris Voss's Never Split the Difference, I highly recommend you do. It goes deep into how the anchoring low technique works. It is great. Set the bar so low that it scares you to say, right? So when you're getting to a point when you're negotiating with the seller and they won't give you a price, right? You're going to come out with a number that just makes you sick to the stomach to say. And, I like to use humor when I do it. And, but, there's various techniques to do it. But, what I like to say is, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if you're not going to give me a price, I'm a real estate investor. I want to buy your house for $1, right? I want to make as much money as possible. It's very risky. I need to protect myself and my 5 kids, because if I don't feed the 5 kids, they will take over my house and ruin my life. I don't want to sleep in the garage, right? So I'm going to tell you a number, and I hope you don't get mad at me, because I don't need you to be throwing anything and then I go home to my wife and I have a black eye because you threw the remote control at me in anger, right? We don't want to deal with any of that stuff, right? Have some fun with it. And you're setting it up to come up with a really low price, right? And then you come up with a price so low, they're like, are you freaking crazy? Are you out of your mind? I would never sell my house for that low. Okay, I get it. Well, you wanted me to ask a number. I'm going to try to go as low as possible, right? No disrespect, but I'm trying to do what's best for my own interest. If that number doesn't work for you, what number does? That's when they tell you the number that they're thinking. And then you can start negotiating from there. And always seem like you're hesitant in pulling away. Again, we don't want to be the chasing dog. We want the dog chasing us. I don't know, Mr. Seller. I think you should list it with a realtor. Maybe you should fix up the house and keep it as a rental. Maybe just fix it up and just sell it yourself. I don't know if I'm the right buyer for you. I don't know if we should really be doing business together, right? I'm pulling away. And when I pull away, they're afraid of losing me as a buyer and they come chasing me. So ideally, most appointments, they end up typically in 60, 90 minutes. And like Eddie here, make some friends, be a consultant. Look, the dogs love them, the sellers love them, everybody loves them. This is what you do when you're working with distressed sellers. You're going and making friends, being a consultant, whether you get the house or not. You're just providing value to the community. We'll skip this for now, but I do want to tell you one quick story. This is a house we sold back in 2019, one of our disposition managers, all right? So quick story before we end this. This house came to us from SEO, Laekynn. You'd be really proud of us. This was an SEO lead that came in. And this lady was in a situation where she was from Poland. And she spoke Polish with a very thick Polish accent and spoke this much English. And I spoke even less of that in Polish. So we went out and met with her. She was a lovely old lady in her 70s. And she had an adult child who lived with her who was special needs that was going to live with her the rest of her life. She had another child who lived in the basement who was basically partying next door, and it was just going to be living with mom forever until he got the boot, and she was sick of his headaches and games. But the reality was, although the house was in pretty decent shape overall, as you can tell from the outside, right? The house isn't distressed. And, you know, we don't really understand sometimes in our business. It's not always the distressed houses. Sometimes it's a nice house like me back in 2009, but a distressed situation. And that's what she was in. So she didn't have much income. She couldn't afford to keep the house. You know, she basically had, you know, very little mortgage left on it, but she did not have resources to continue to pay the ongoing increasing taxes, insurance, and everything else. And more importantly, she wanted to relocate to Las Vegas, and this house was in New Hampshire, all the way across country to Las Vegas to go live with her daughter. Her daughter had a place for her, but her daughter didn't have the financial means to bring her there. She didn't have the financial means to bring her there. And she didn't really know how to navigate selling a house with a realtor, and she really needed help getting to that next level. So, with the great help of Google Translate, me and my wife Shelly made it a friend and a consultant. At the end of the day, we realized the best thing we could do for her is we could buy this house at a number that made sense for her, give her some money. But what we were going to do is we were going to help her relocate and with her daughter in Las Vegas. So we got her daughter on the phone after we signed a contract. We told her daughter, "Hey, listen, what we're going to do is we're going to buy your mom's house. We're going to pay for the plane tickets ahead of time. And we're going to she could pay us back at closing, but we're going to go ahead and order her plane tickets. We're going to pay for her plane tickets. We had pods delivered to the house. We paid for laborers to come and help her box all of her stuff up in her house. We took all those boxes and put them into the pods. We had a company take those pods all the way to Las Vegas to her daughter's driveway to be unloaded. We helped her and her son sell this house, get rid of all the stuff they needed to do. And we even drove her to the title company for the closing. And after the title company, we drove her to the airport and got her on a plane with her son, with her bread that she backed up in a cloth, because that's what like old Russian Polish ladies do. They bring their snacks in a cloth. And she's crying, and seeing this picture still makes me tear up, cry, because she was so incredibly thankful. She thought she was she didn't know what to do. She was stuck in a house. She didn't know where to go. She didn't have any help. She didn't really even speak English. She wanted to go live with the daughter. She didn't know how to navigate that. She didn't have the financial resources to do that. We made it all happen. We solved all of her problems. And she got to go be with her daughter and bring the son she wanted with her and left the other son behind, fortunately for her. And it was just a great story of providing certainty and providing value. And that's what you do as a off-market real estate professional. So conclusion, by employing techniques such as, you know, sorry, let me just get this out of the way. Perceived ownership, status alignment, overcoming objections, providing certainty, and handling pricing objections, buyers can increase their chances of securing more deals, bigger deals, and minimize those cancellations when it comes to buying off-market distressed properties. These techniques focus on building trust, establishing rapport, addressing concerns, and finding mutually beneficial solutions, ultimately leading to successful negotiations and transactions. With a strategic and empathetic approach, buyers can navigate the challenges of buying distressed properties and achieve their desired outcomes. All right, this is my thing. I know I told you guys top sales. That Facebook group in the middle, pull up that QR code, go to our off-market Facebook group if you're not already in there. This is where we do these master classes on a regular basis where we're providing a lot of value. That's our REI Freedom Coaching website. If you want to learn about joining our small group coaching or a one-on-one coaching, we could talk more about that, see if you're a fit with us, and I could teach you how to employ these techniques into your business so you can start doing multiple deals a month, many deals a year, and start thinking like 7 figures a year in real estate, not just, a deal here and there. And obviously there's our podcast as well. We'd love for you to give that a listen. Join our growing community. And that is it. And see if I can get out of this thing. I think I can. And I'm going to stop the share. And we're good. Woo! I did it. Navigated it. All right. Yeah. All right. Mike Ricardo's like, God, I've already seen that thing like 3 times. Why do I have to watch that again? Sorry, Mike. Sorry. All right. So I don't know. Do we have any other questions before we wrap this up? Great presentations. Thanks, everyone. Jeremy, I have an off-market development and multifamily sourcing pretty dialed in, but have a hard time sourcing flip options. What are the best indicators to list build for rundown flips versus places that are already been renovated? Prop stream, etc. Haven't been reliable for finding pre-foreclosures, tax liens, etc.? Is it worth having a lender in-house prospecting for liens? Should I be checking county records weekly? Wow, Graham, that's a lot of questions, a lot of answers. So I'll tell you what, the best thing to do, Graham, is message me, and I'll give you some instructions here as far as navigating some of that for your leads and stuff like that. I think that'd be the best way to go about it, because that's a pretty detailed question, but I can answer that offline for you, no problem at all, and help you fine tune some of that stuff. I know we had a question earlier from somebody from Facebook that said, what is the best way to scale up? Not really sure what that was in reference to. Anybody have an answer for that? It seemed very general. And I think that's all we have. All right, Nick Donahue says find the bunnies. All right, whatever that means. All right. Guys, thank you so much for watching tonight. I think that's it. Again, listen, if you guys want this presentation, feel free to email us, and then Laekynn will send out this presentation with all of our contact info tomorrow. Make sure you send that email for VIP access so you can have access to it. A lot of information tonight, right? We talked branding, we talked bookkeeping, we talked, legal protection. We talked about how Jerome saved over $40,000 in taxes this year. I love all that stuff, right? And my alter ego is now going to be protecting myself better than it's ever has before. I mean, just great stuff tonight. From our presenters, you guys have any last words before we wrap up tonight?
I do
Okay.
have one quick one because I failed to do it before. You guys, did you guys see how pretty? And I'm just going to show it really fast because I failed to do it way back when. But did you see how pretty everything was? That's all from Laekynn. It was so easy.
Well, what I noticed is you used the same
No.
fonts throughout the whole thing. So that's what I was impressed with.
Did.
Because I use different fonts
did.
all the time, and now I'm never going to do that again.
All my colors, I just put in my numbers and it populated. Like, Laekynn had this really pretty thing. It made it so easy. So yeah, she's phenomenal in case you guys are wondering.
Awesome. All right. And Graham, make sure you message me on Facebook. I'll answer all your questions. For everybody that watched tonight, thank you so very, very much for being part of this masterclass. I hope we brought a ton of value for you guys, and you guys can reach out. I would definitely listen. If you guys are thinking about Brandon, reach out to Laekynn. If you want to save money on taxes, right, as we end of the year here, you need to be reaching out to Larry. If your books are a mess and you need help, you need to be reaching out to Cassie. And if you want to have some good contracts, legal protection for your leases, for your contracts to buy houses, for your, your contracted agreements with your subcontractors, guys, reach out to Ryan. Make sure you guys are running a professional business. We get into real estate investing to build a dream lifestyle, right? And sometimes we go so fast and so quick that we stop making these mistakes, and then we get hit by them and it's too late. Don't be that person, right? We got regulations coming out in 2025. If you want to start generating leads, you need to start pivoting your marketing now to get ahead of that, right? Make sure that if you're audited, your books are in order. And when you're hiring, subcontractors, or you're getting tenants, you have the right contracts in place. And guys, I know what it's like to have a good tax professional. My tax professional saves me many, many tens of thousands of dollars a year in taxes that I don't have to pay, which goes back into my pocket for me and my 5 kids. And 5 teenage kids cost a lot of freaking money because I'm going to the grocery store like every day. So I need that money. It's like real. It's legit. So anyway, everybody, thank you so much for being part of the masterclass tonight. For the presenters tonight, thank you for putting the time and effort into showing everything tonight. And guys, make sure you reach out to these great resources. Everybody have a great, wonderful rest of your night.